So what's going on, guys? Today we'll be doing some pitching debate questions. So I have some questions here that are a lot of people debate. A lot of people will have mixed opinions about. I'm gonna give you my opinions on it. So we'll start off here. It'll go down from the mental aspect to the physical aspect. Um, Kind of everything about pitching. So, first question is velo or command wins ball games? I would say command would win ball games more than velo, especially when you play good teams. The velo doesn't matter. I feel like as much. Yeah, having velocity is good against good teams. It's always good to have that, but if you have velocity and you don't have control, good teams, if you're in the middle of the plate, they're gonna put runs on the board. They're gonna get hits. They're gonna take advantage of that type of stuff. If you have command, you sit low 80s, you paint the corners, you're in, you're out, you're low and high. For a batter, that's harder to get the barrel to the bat um, at a more consistent rate. Um, and that kind of allows you to allow it to be more of a mental game compared to velo, where I feel like it's kind of just velo is just going at you, who's better, which can work, but um, if you don't have control behind the velo, then teams are gonna beat you up. I mean, I've played pitchers that had a ton of velo, and I would say they were easier to hit than guys that had command, had good breaking stuff. I would say those guys were harder to hit. So I'm gonna say command for that one. Um, Better pitcher, high velo, low control, or low velo, elite control. It's kind of the same thing. I would probably say low velo, elite control. Having high velo is nice to have, but if you're not in the strike zone, you're not throwing strikes. If you're not throwing strikes, you can't set guys up. Um, I don't think it's too much of a debate. Um, I think the better pitcher is the guy that has low velo and elite control. Low velo, you can develop guys that are slower, and if they already have control, then you're already working with the fact they can throw their pitches in the right spots. They know what to do. Certain pitches to throw. They might have low velo, but I mean you can look at tons of guys that didn't have the greatest velo um, in the majors and they succeeded. Um, so I would say low velo, elite control, and those two questions kind of fit the pitcher I was. Now I didn't throw slow per se, but I didn't throw super hard, and I won ball games by doing this, by being smarter and not having great velo, but I had elite control and command that allowed me to stay outside the middle of the plate, allowed me to kind of fool hitters. Then, is pitching more mental or physical? This one's hard. I would say physical, but mental is really important. For a guy like me, being 5'7" and not throwing necessarily so hard, I would say I probably relied more on mental, like being prepared for the game, getting myself in a mindset, knowing what I wanted to do. I watched film before games. I did that. So for certain guys, it might be mental if they don't have the tools per se that other guys have. Um, then you could say maybe mental, but I would say physical is probably more for a lot of guys. You gotta be in good shape. You gotta be able to go long innings, not run out of fuel at the end of games. Um, as a pitcher, you gotta have, you know, that's why pitchers are always in the weight room. They gotta be strong. and being able to do that every week, throw the ball, maintain being healthy, um, and just having the capabilities to go and, perform. So I'd say physical. Strikeouts or weak contact, which is better? Um, this one also kind of needs context. I would say it depends how you look at it. If I kind of used to be more of a strikeout guy, and then I became weak contact guy more. Um, for me, strikeouts was always felt better, and it gave me more confidence, and I did dominate games more, and I maybe had a lower ERA. Um, this is one thing I will say about strikeouts. Your pitch count will probably be higher, which lets teams see more pitches. But I mean, if they can't hit you, it doesn't really matter. But weak contact, would say has its own pros because weak contact. I mean, they're not doing anything with the ball anyways. You're getting quicker outs, more efficient innings. They're not seeing as much. You're getting through the game quicker. So it's kind of, I don't know. I would say about 50-50 on this one. I don't know if I really have an opinion on that. I think it depends on what kind of pitcher you are. I guess it's the type of capabilities you have. If I'm a strikeout pitcher, then, I would say it's probably better for me. But if someone relies more on missing barrels, I wouldn't chase strikeouts. I would just do weak contact. Like for me, I became more of a weak contact guy. I didn't chase strikeouts, and I had to kind of change the way I pitched. And if I had chased strikeouts, I think I might have got hit more. You almost become too confident, and that can lead to you overthinking, like, oh, I can throw this fastball by him, and realistically, you're not going to. So I'd say 50-50. Kind of depends. Do walks hurt more than hits? I definitely agree. Walks are way worse than hits. Now you'll see this in a lot of JUCO teams. I don't know why, but you'll see JUCO teams walk a ton of guys. I mean, there's a lot of teams that can't have control, and giving up hits is it's not good either. But I would say giving up hits, at least you attack them, at least you were going after them. And hits, they got to pile up a decent amount of hits to, get runs on the board. I would debate if you walk, say you walk 6 a game, but you give up 4 or 5 hits, that's 11 runners, or not runners, but 11 guys that have gotten on, and one double can hurt more than, say, hits. You give up 4 innings, you give up 8 hits, but they're all singles and maybe a double. They might not be able to get around and get any runs. So, I'd say I'd rather give up more hits per innings than walks. Walks just lead to everybody in the field getting kind of lazy, and you can't find the control. You get more frustrated, and walks builds. I would say walks builds the team's confidence, our team's confidence more, because they just know that they can just wait on their pitch. You start walking people, there's more likely you'll end up leaving a pitch right down the middle because you're just trying to get in the strike zone, and then that just leads to more problems. For me, there was a season I walked, I think it was my sophomore year. I threw 44 innings and I walked 3 guys all year. I didn't walk anybody. I think I had the least amount of walks in the league, but I gave up 38 hits. Now that's not bad at all. But thing was is because I didn't walk people, it wouldn't be the first inning. We got 2 men on already. If they did get on, it was because they had to actually do a good piece of hitting. They actually had to compete. Walking, they don't even compete. You basically hand them everything. So walks hurt more. Is fastball the most important pitch of the game? Yeah, I would say it's the most important pitch of the game to get ahead. Obviously, you need a fastball. Everybody needs a fastball. But I will say, I don't know if you need a four-seamer. You do need some kind, or a two-seamer. A lot of guys throw two-seamers now, and sinkers. You can be a sinker guy. Not throw like a straight fastball. I did that in college for a little, where I just threw a ton of sinkers, and it was effective. So, yeah, it is. Now, when it comes to being ahead in the count, I don't think the fastball is the most important pitch. I think it's your breaking stuff. That's what you get guys to strike out on. So fastball is the most important pitch when you're ahead, or you're not ahead. You're getting ahead in the count, trying to get ahead in the count, but you get 2 strikes on a guy, or maybe you got to battle back and he's seen so many fastballs, you got to throw an off-speed pitch, a changeup. That's when those pitches become most important. So I would say it depends on the context. Would you rather have 1 elite pitch or 3 good pitches? I would say 3 good pitches. Having 1 elite pitch is good. Now, I don't know if they have like 3 bad pitches. I don't know. I don't really clarify, but I'd say 3 good pitches because 3 good pitches, you can have more of a mix, you can have more looks, you can mess with guys' depth perception, you can mess with their timing, and if they're good pitches, then they got more to think about in the box. I mean, at least for me, I'd rather face a guy that throws 2 or 3 good pitches and they're okay than a guy has maybe say 5 pitches. I just rather see a guy that has less pitches because I have less to think about. Now, if the one pitch is elite, yeah, it's going to be hard to hit, but that's going to be his go-to. So, for sure, I would go 3 pitches because I feel like as a hitter, I can sit on that pitch. I can adjust when I see it. So, I'd say 3 pitches. Is location more important than movement? Yeah, I'd say location is more important than movement. Location is really important in the fact of when you're ahead in the count. Okay, I've located inside. He hasn't seen anything outside. Let's locate low and away. Then, you can really pick when you want to throw pitches. You can pick. You kind of have more available when you can locate. And trust me, a lot of guys, if you don't throw hard and you can locate and you're getting them out, hitters can't stand that. I know that's how it is. Movement is important, but I would, if you're able to locate and have decent movement, then yeah, I would. Then if it was the fact you had 0 movement, if you have a 4-seamer that's flat and it's, you're locating it on the outside, but it's flat, guys are going to kill it no matter what. Now, if that's if it's flat, then you need movement. Then movement is more important. in the fact of, a flat fastball, is going to get killed. If you have a two-seamer or sinker that runs low and guys can't barrel it, it's got tons of spin rate, it's deceptive, it looks like the ball's, kind of staying still and then it takes off. You can have more of a chase rate, unlike location where it's just still and it's flat and guys, like that. It's just served right there. The movement is more important. So I would say if your fastball is flat or your stuff is flat, then movement's more important. If if you have a decent movement and you can locate really well, then I would say location's more important. A lot of this is based on like what type of pitcher you are. Should pitchers always attack hitters? Yes. The only time I would say I don't waste pitches. I'm not a big believer in wasting pitches. I think unless they're a really good team and they're really aggressive, then yes, you should waste a pitch. Or I wouldn't say like completely like throw it 5 feet outside, but kind of get him to chase instead of a good team seeing 3 fastballs or 3 pitches in the zone. That's kind of risky. But yeah, you should always attack hitters. When you don't attack hitters, you'll lead to end up walking and second guessing yourself. And so if it's the fact that they're a really good team, maybe, and I wouldn't even say that's not attacking them. That's just being smarter. So yeah, you should always attack. Is pitching inside necessary to be elite? Yeah, I would say you have to be elite at, throwing several parts of the zone. Now I will say, I don't know, you can comment if you disagree with me, but in high school, I would say that a lot of guys can't hit the outside pitch, and there's a lot of guys that are good. They never throw in. They throw outside, and teams can't hit them. They just sit out there and nobody can hit them. I feel like that happens a lot in high school, and that's what I would do. And there wasn't a lot of teams that could go oppo continually. They were always looking in. We want the inside pitch, the middle, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's the fact that like it's not taught as much to go oppo. I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe not in high school as much. Now, once you get to the higher levels, yes, you need to be able to pitch inside. You have to be able to move them off the plate. You can't let them get comfortable. They know you're not going in. They're just going to sit on the outside of the plate, and that just will end up being good. So high school, I don't know. That's debatable. You can comment if you disagree or agree with me. Better strategy, pitch to contact or pitch for strikeouts? Pitch to contact. Because if you pitch for strikeouts, I think it creates a mindset of the fact that because there was a point in time I struck out a lot of guys, but I didn't once I got older because of certain things and having to come back from injury and competition getting better. I feel like when I got in a strikeout mindset, I got too aggressive. I started leaving stuff maybe more over the plate, maybe not strategizing as much. But pitching to contact, I feel like it's like, okay, if I'm just pitching, I just want to get this guy out. Then I feel like my mind's more free, and I just throw the ball. Not the fact of thinking of striking him out. If you just try pitching and just throw the ball, that's better than trying to hunt a goal of striking someone out. I would say that pitching in contact is better. Do pitch counts hurt or help pitchers? Pitch counts I don't know what they call it. That's kind of. I don't know. Skip that one's. Is confidence more important than mechanics? No, because if you don't have any mechanics, I mean, you gotta have fluid mechanics, fluid motion, to throw consistent strikes. If you're not gonna gain confidence if your mechanics are wild and you're having to think about what you're trying to do and what to fix. Then there's no confidence. So I would say mechanics is more important because if you get your mechanics down and you develop as a player, then the confidence will come. Better trait, velo or deception? I'd say deception. Now, a lot of my answers haven't been velo, and it's not just because I wasn't a velo guy, but I just don't believe velo is what makes someone so good. I just don't think velo is good and makes guys good, but I wouldn't say there's so much more to pitching than just velo. So like deception, okay? When I pitched, one of the things that was with me was I never crossed my leg. I always went straight up and went. So I was really quick. And the guys that were, I guess, say, hitting off me, my fastball looked quicker than what it was. Because I was so fast to the plate, it was deceptive. Because most guys cross their leg or some degree. I just picked up my leg and went. Fact, me being 5'7", can play a fact of it looking faster. And I had a really long stride. So the ball was closer to the plate than some guys that were even taller than me just because I had a long stride and I got out so much. That kind of stuff really plays a factor. So really being deceptive can even lead to them thinking you're faster, and you don't need the velo. So deception is really key. I faced guys that they had weird mechanics, weird ways they threw, and it just looked weird. You had guys that had a weird breaking ball, and it was hard to hit, even though it wasn't fast. So I'd say deception. Is it better to miss inside or outside the zone? I would say inside the zone. Because if you're missing outside the zone, you're liable to be doing something mechanically wrong. You're not even in the zone. You're not even attacking. You're not even getting to the hitter. You're throwing the ball wild, and there's no point. There's no point in you pitching if you can't throw a strike. So if you're missing inside, the zone, then at least it shows that you're throwing strikes and you're lateral or you're level to the plate. Mechanically, you're good enough that you're coming to the plate. Your release point's in the zone. So I would say inside, and it might be more of just like minor mechanical adjustments. So inside. Should you always throw your best pitch in the biggest moments? No. I don't think so. I think there's been guys like, okay, for a lefty. My best pitch probably to the lefty was probably my changeup once it developed. And I don't think that's my best pitch. My best pitch is probably my slider. And I just don't think if I were to throw a slider to a lefty where it's coming in, I just don't think that's the best option. Now, it all depends on the count, the situation, the type of hitters they are. It depends on all that, but I don't think so. I think it depends on what moment, what type of game you're in, and what type of batter they are. Are breaking balls overrated or essential? I think they're definitely essential. I don't think breaking balls are overrated at all. I was the type of guy I threw games where I threw 50 cutters and I threw a bunch of junk, and I probably threw like 25 fastballs. And people will probably say, "Well, that's just horrible because it's horrible for your arm." But if you can throw it right, don't matter. And people will say, "Oh, well, that's just not the best way to pitch a game. You need to throw more fastballs." But breaking balls are so essential because you can mix certain tunnels compared to fast, like say um, like fastball. You know, most guys see it, so it's like it's easier for them just to sit there and hit it. Then if you have so many breaking balls and you have a really good breaking ball, a lot of guys struggle with the breaking ball more than fastball. So it's definitely essential. Is a catcher more important than people think? Yeah, I was never a big fan of throwing to a net and not having a catcher back there. I just don't think that it fills anything. You got to have a catcher. Catcher plays a key role in the fact of seeing where it's been located and framed. Um, you know now now with like AI now, I don't even know why we have catchers. To be honest with you, if we have AB at bats, whatever it's called, there's no point of framing. I don't get the point of having catchers now, but having the fact of knowing where that pitch dropped in and him framing it, getting catcher feedback. The net's not going to give me feedback. So yeah, definitely important. Would you rather give up a home run or multiple singles? Um, I guess singles. I mean, if I got guys on and he hits a home run, that could be a really big key part in the game. It changes things, gives them momentum. If I give up multiple singles, I don't think it builds them momentum. Singles are singles. It's going to happen. Home runs don't happen as often, so I would say singles. Is the first pitch strike the most poor pitch? Yes. Now, this is this is one of the things that I could do. I always got ahead and I threw a lot of first pitch strikes, and that opened me to throw all my pitches. It opened me to the fact of messing with guys more than if I was behind the count with the way I pitched and I had to throw more fastballs to get back in the count. I would have got killed. And that's what happens. You don't throw a first pitch strike and you get behind. Batter's more confident waiting for his pitch. And you get more behind, 2-0. Then guys just will sit there and wait for their pitch. And paired to first pitch strike, you got them on the back of their heels. They know you're attacking. And it's less for them to get a chance of seeing their pitch and hitting it. So first pitch strike is always important. Do hitters fear velo or movement more? I would say probably in high school, I'd probably say velo because guys just will be scared. Oh, the guy's throwing 90, so we have no chance. Even though it's flat, depends on the level. I would say if you're playing at a college level and you're seeing guys that chuck it, you see many, then I would say movement. Guys would fear movement more because, oh man, this guy can move the ball, he can paint, he can get the ball to do whatever it wants. But we're used to seeing velo. So it's compared to high school where, you got guys playing that don't maybe feel like playing, but they just play, and they're not going to go to college to play ball, then they'll probably fear velo. So it depends on the level. Is bullpen work overrated? No. I don't know. That one's kind of dumb. Let's skip that one. Should pitchers focus more on mechanics or results? Pitchers should focus more on mechanics if they get constant injuries and problems, and if they have mechanics that will lead to it, you have to get it before, because if you're never going to be healthy, you're never going to get any results because you're never going to play. So in that regard, mechanics are more important. Now there are guys that throw a certain way and they throw weird, but because they get to certain points in their delivery, they'll be fine and they're healthy. So I don't think mechanics. Guys get velo from different ways. Some guys get it from their legs. Sometimes people get it from their stride. So I mean, you can look at all kinds of guys in MLB. Clayton Kershaw. I mean, you wouldn't say he's mechanically like awesome. He's pausing and he pauses when he comes up, and I guess he's not bad mechanically, but it's not unique. It's not normal. I would say when he pauses the way he does could lead to injury and his back problems. Well, it has, because he's had back problems. Because of him pausing, coming up, straining his muscles at the top, that kind of stuff. But he was one of the best pitchers of all time, and he got results. So, but I would say results because you just see so many guys that have weird mechanics and they have results. So I would say results. Is consistency harder than dominance? I don't know. I think for consistency, I would say with the fact of doing something over and over and over again at a good level and being quality starts, I would say that might be harder than dominance. But for dominance, it depends. How dominant are they? Are they dominant in the fact of like striking out 15, 14 guys a game, and every other day? I'd probably say that's more impressive and harder than someone that's consistent, gets 5 strikeouts and quality start, an okay start. Someone that every other day is going out there and pitching a phenomenal game. So that kind of depends. Better approach, attack early or set hitters up? Attack early, because if you attack early, you have a better chance of setting guys up. Because I feel like attacking early just leads to you being in better positions, which leads you to setting guys up, setting pitches up for certain counts, setting a high fastball up with 2 strikes based on attacking low in the zone. Compared to setting up hitters, I just think that attacking early comes from setting up hitters. So I would say attacking early is more important. Would you rather face a power lineup or a contact lineup? I'd rather face a power lineup. Your power lineup, as much as they might have guys who can really hit the ball far and might have more of like, you throw a pitch in the middle of the zone, you're going to pay for it more. A lot of power lineups, you can get them to strike out more, and power hitter will probably have more weaknesses in the fact that you can expose more, and if you stay with those qualities you've picked up in their hitters, then you might succeed more. Compared to a contact lineup where you might have to be more perfect more often, because they can do more. They can maybe go all fields. They're putting the ball in play consistently. They might be better all around hitters. They might be more aggressive. So I'd say contact lineup or power lineup. I'd rather face a power lineup than contact lineup. Is pitching in cold weather harder? Yes. Pitching in cold weather sucks. Your body gets cold, your muscles get tense, the velo isn't near as high. It's harder to stay warm. And one of the things that when it's hot, you feel more loose. Even your body feels more weight. So easily, cold weather is way harder. Let's see. Is momentum real for pitchers? Yes. I think every pitcher could agree with that. Momentum is, I would say, like one of the most important parts of the game. For me, I as soon as I got rolling, there was a point in time. First inning was kind of more harder to start because I wasn't really in a groove yet. But once I got to the second and third inning, I got in a groove. Then that's when the momentum kicked in. I started playing better. So yeah, I'd say momentum is real for pitchers. Should pitchers rely on analytics or feel? This one, I'd say feel. Analytics, as good as it's to have, a perfect example. When Tampa played in the World Series in 2020, when they pulled Blake Snell, he was dominating, but because of analytics and third through the lineup, because guys at that point, third through the lineup, hit Blake Snell better, they pulled him. But I think that was a stupid move, because if a guy's in a flow, let him keep pitching. I just don't think it's worth the gamble to look at analytics instead of if you feel the game, okay, this guy's dominating, then let him pitch. But for me as a pitcher, I would rely on feel because analytics isn't happening during the game. Like analytics will be from a week ago. Oh, this guy was hitting, I don't know, the 3-2 count low and in better. Well, maybe, what pitch did I throw before that? Well, what pitch did I set up for this? Or, if we were to go off analytics, which I'll bring this up with teams, the Yankees, they haven't won a game, playoffs, the World Series, in kind of a long time. And all they care about is analytics. Okay, but they haven't done anything in the World Series because they went there once and they lost. And you have this narrative of hitting home runs. Well, look how that's worked out. That doesn't solve everything. The game is about feel and what should be done at that point in time. So analytics is overrated in my opinion. Is throwing hard worth the risk? You'll see this a lot in young guys now. You have a lot of young guys now, like 14, they're throwing 85. That's great. Credit to you. But I don't know how good it is for your development throwing it hard that young. You're liable to be more injury prone. You're liable to hit a ceiling really early. There's a lot of guys that haven't. Throwing hard every at bat, I don't agree with that either. Throwing hard every pitch during the game is not good. There's times you got to take stuff off. There's times, you're going to overuse your arm. Your muscles, your ligaments are going to explode if you throw hard every time. And that's why you see a lot of injuries now. You have a lot of guys that do that. Like back then, I don't think that was much of a thing. Now, people will disagree and debate with me. Well, that's because, guys only threw 91 miles an hour. Well, that's true. But even so, you didn't see so many guys with injuries compared to today, where it's like every other week there's someone injured. So you got to get to a certain age. You got to let it develop. I just don't think you want your 12-year-old throwing 90. I mean, I don't know. They can't be good because their development's got to be throughout time. You have to build it up. You can't, but yeah, I would debate a lot of those guys are on something. But better high fastball or low fastball? I would say it depends on the pitcher you are. High fastball, if you really can throw your break stuff good and low, and you can elevate your fastball, then high fastball is better. But if you're more of a guy that relies on breaking stuff, you throw lower speed, and you can't blow guys away, having a low fastball is important, staying low in the zone. You throw a 82 mile an hour fastball high, someone's gonna kill it. I mean, it's just you're not gonna blow someone away with 80. So I would say high fastball, depending on pitcher you are. But for most guys in high school, high school, I would say low fastballs, and even in the college. Is command harder to develop than velocity? I would say with command, that command is harder because you can get guys to gain velo. You can have guys, you see those progression videos, getting a summer he was throwing 75, and now he's throwing 83. Because he worked on, lifting weights, getting in the gym, doing it consistently, these velo programs, plyo programs, or whatever. It's hard to teach command, because if a guy is wild, and that's all he's ever been, it's hard to get a good, because that involves mechanic tweaks, that involves kind of maybe changing their mindset, and it's just harder to change a guy that has command issues than a guy that maybe throws slow, but he has command. But it's easier to get velo. So I'd say command's harder to develop. Should pitchers shake off catchers more? I did this because, I don't know, I usually called my own games because I just did. Coaches let me call my own games. But I feel like if you have a good conversation with your catcher, they know what you're talking about, they know what you want to do, what pitch do you want to throw in this count, and you're on the same page, then most likely you won't end up shaking your catcher off so much. So I think it depends on how much are you talking to your catcher and how much do they know you. If they don't know you, then they allow to be calling pitches that you don't even feel comfortable throwing. Is pitching the hardest position in sports? No. I don't think it is as much of a pitcher as I am. I think hitting is harder. I think, me personally, the two hardest things to do, hitting a golf ball and hitting a baseball, is the two hardest things to do, and I don't think it's close. So I would easily say that pitching is not the hardest thing to do. It is hard. I think it is kind of underrated how hard it is, but it's not the hardest, I would say. So those are the questions, debate questions, and my thoughts about what I think. Now, some of you might disagree with me, but totally fine. You can leave a comment why you think it's the other way around. Your thoughts on what you think, and what kind of questions or debate questions you might have. So, if you like the video, leave me a like, subscribe, and maybe I'll hopefully create another part 2 of these questions and give my comments. So, see you in the next one.